He gave $1 million to the national PTA to mobilize parents for Common Core standards. This guy benefits from it, and he's going to tell parents they're spending $1 million to indoctrinate parents on the PTA. You are going to be up against a war you are against every power player in the world, but your child is at stake. It says in this press release, a new 3-year effort to mobilize parents beginning with Common Core state standards. This is the architect of Common Core right here. His name is David Cohen. Do we have him? There he is. He's pulling in, by the way, $750,000 a year to push a curriculum that our kids are going to have starting in the next 12 to 18 months. It bashes capitalism as everyone for themselves and promotes communism as everyone helping everybody else. He's now the president of the College Board. Okay, so what? Well, the College Board now will use the Common Core standards to write the SAT test. His education secretary under Obama, Arne Duncan, leading the charge to implement this. But don't think that it's only the progressives on the left. Arne Duncan called criticisms of Common Core a conspiracy. How Cass Sunstein of him. And to ease fears, he says, hey, the GOP is in on this too. Really? Oh, yes, they are. But the usual suspects. Chris Christie. Bill Haslam, he's another progressive Republican we'll talk about in the coming days. And the establishment's new favorite hopeful for 2016, Jeb Bush. Oh, he's not only written support for Common Core standards, but back in 2012, he helped lead a conference on Common Core standards and led a panel discussion with David Goldman, and also on the same panel with Bob Corcoran, president and chairman of the GE Foundation, which gave over $33 million last year to help support Common Core. And GE is happy to promote Jeb Bush on their television station. Wow, I wonder if Comcast will change things. You think it's a coincidence that GE has been pushing Jeb Bush and saying he's the guy? I mean, when was the last time you heard anybody with a conservative bone left in their body say, you know what, if we just had Jeb Bush as our candidate, we'd be fine? Nobody says that except the people on television. Because the people on television are run by the progressives. I'm telling you, I've worked at all of them. I know. This is a fight that requires every one of us. Tonight we will begin the long fight to stop the progressive, both left and right, the GOP and the Democrats, to save our children. Stop the takeover of America's schools by the government and corporations. How can we not all join on that? What you can do, and meet some people who are speaking out and risking a lot to be here. Next.
Are you coming to Dallas anytime soon? If not, change your plans, because we want you to be part of our live studio audience. This is your exclusive opportunity to get inside Glenn's head. Ask your questions and share your opinions.
Old is right for you. Otherwise, I'm going to flip a coin commemorating the bicentennial.
13.5 trillion. Call Goldline and...
I knew that new test.
You hide the truth and eradicate the Tea Party once and for all. Patriots of Treason, the exciting and fast-paced thriller by David Thomas Roberts. Available now.
Worst thing that you're finding about the data mining. You actually thought this was a conspiracy theory.
I did. I really did. In fact, I thought all of your shows were conspiracy theories.
Right.
I've never watched one.
Right, okay. So when you hear about this, when you heard about this, you're like, oh, geez, another Glenn Beck conspiracy. But then you start looking into it.
I looked at the exact documents that you discussed in full during your monologue.
And?
It was scary. Wasn't a conspiracy theory at all.
And am I overstating it? Because I think this is the scariest thing we have found yet. This is like some really spooky sci-fi Gattaca kind of thing, isn't it?
It's pretty freaky.
Yeah. worst thing? Anybody want to go on this before we start? Or, I mean, let's go here. Why are they data mining like this? Make the case, because people say, oh, why are they doing that? They're just trying to help education get a little better. That's what they're doing.
I think you hit the nail on the head in your monologue. This is about a progressive agenda, which at the root of it means we're talking about people who don't have faith in the American people. They don't have faith in the American people to lead their own lives, make their own decisions. So why do you need to do this? Well, you need to manage society. You need to manage education. You need to manage the workforce.
And really, I mean, a really benign example of this that's already there, and it's very simple, is the PSATs. To where you take a PSAT and you take it early and you're like, oh, you know what, that kid we should watch that kid. And so they start getting letters from the good universities and everything else early, and so you're watching it. This is something that is really kind of insidious. I mean, right at the beginning, they're evaluating and they're saying, you're a cog, you're over here. Ooh, you might be this designer, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
What I see is, instead of children being encouraged to excel to the highest that they can, they're putting them in a place to where, instead of it's a child choosing a career and going after their interest, they're letting the career choose the child, or the workforce choose the child, and tracking them all along the way to slot them into whatever workforce needs are.
Okay, so are you three convinced that that's really what this is? That this is just to feed the beast of what society needs as a collective, to train the kids the best way and slot them into the best things? Is that what this is?
I don't know the end game, but you've had some great comments on it.
That's true, but when you talk about slotting children in, you know, in a managed society, managed economy, you also concern yourself with how they're going to manage their interrelations with other people. That becomes part of the game. Well, we need worker bees, we need cogs in the machine, and that's going to be a different personality type, for instance, than your entrepreneur.
Okay, so what is the? Well, I think there's a double standard here. You know, we're all supposed to be born equal and then make our own way and have an equal chance, but I mean, is that the double standard? Is that, I mean, because it seems to me that there's a double standard, that you don't really get an equal chance.
You're born free, and in your life it's like an artist with a canvas. That's your canvas, and you're there to make that masterpiece, and it should be you doing it, not the state.
What is predictive testing?
Well, in essence, it's neuropsychological testing is what the school districts are proposing to do throughout the country. There's a reason why my wife and I don't have many friends in our small Utah town, because we've tested half the community's children. And the reason we don't have friends is because we have access to extensive data about these children and their families. And, you know, we have to be subjected to strict privacy laws. And with this information comes power. And to keep from people like us from abusing that power, we are subjected to these strict privacy laws, as well as you know, state governing laws in regards to being clinical psychologists. So it's the power differential, and so we have to back off from these families. When you take this type of information and you put it in the hands of someone who is not trained, you're having kindergarten teachers and second grade teachers basically performing neuropsychological examinations, and they're not trained with the privacy issues, they're not trained with interpreting results.
What can you interpret from this information? I mean, what they show me something that you could gather the information and you could interpret one thing, but it actually means something else. Can you give me a kind of an example? What is it? I'm a teacher. What am I going to see? What kind of information am I going to see that I could take and I could use it against? I'm trying to play the devil's advocate here because people are going to say, oh, guys, you're just overreacting. It's no big deal.
after a 45-page evaluation of this, it is just so strong in terms of its predictive abilities, in terms of personality, cognitive styles, behavioral styles.
So is this kind of like almost like Minority Report, to where they're saying predictive testing means I can say pretty much what you are going to do in life, so I categorize you as worth it or not worth it right now?
We're getting to that point in clinical psychology and neurology and medicine, but we are truly getting to that point where we can predict in that manner.
Okay, back in a minute.
Someone once said, life doesn't give do-overs. But that's not entirely true.
What a remarkable comeback for Kurt Warner.
I'm Kurt Warner.
This is
5-second survival doctor with the same close range with food prices rising.
Number one, within...
Real news, the most significant legislation since healthcare. Buck, what's this about?
That is the Obama administration's diagnosis for immigration. They have been pushing, as we know, a comprehensive immigration reform bill, and right now it looks like they're going to refocus onto that, and that means we're going to have a talk. What will that entail? What will it look like? And are people starting to recognize this is going to be a lot more difficult than originally planned? We'll talk about it tonight on Real News.
Students have a group of interventions and more. How can we use all this data easily? How can we use it to help students? Introducing eScholar MyTrack. MyTrack leverages all kinds of education data in order to personalize education for every individual student. With MyTrack, learners have their own individual goals, and they get recommended strategies on how to achieve them.
Emmett, this all sounds great. What's the problem with that? I go into a counselor, and he's got all kinds of stuff. He's just tracking me for a long time. He's got all this stuff. It's going to be helpful.
And you and your parent, you come in and sit down, and I'm the counselor, and I have reams of data on you and studies, and the balance of power has shifted. I'm the one telling you what's good for your child and what your child is good at and what your child's future looks like, and this is amazingly
the balance of power that you were talking about.
Yeah, it's the exact difference of our clinic's motto. Our clinic's motto is helping parents find answers. In that situation, you will have a school personnel telling people.
Yeah. Now, you have found that in your state, right?
Right.
Teachers, this is already implemented? Or it's coming, the beginning?
The platform is there.
Okay. And teachers, this is wildly dangerous. Teachers can actually kind of change some of the data or add to the data.
Right. The testing in Alabama, we did not join the consortium of the two assessment companies that received stimulus money to develop the test. We're going with another corporation, and they have components that do the psychological and attitudinal assessments on child's behavior, and there is a rating scale where the teacher can actually go in and give input based on their observations of the child.
Okay. Imagine, I mean, we've already seen it. Imagine just based on politics. I want to destroy that person's child or that child because they're wearing an Obama shirt or they're wearing a Romney shirt. I mean, we've seen the video of the teachers targeting children on both sides.
Right.
Imagine what could happen to that child's life because of political view, which is included in the data. Why do we need to know that? I mean, why do they need to know the parents' political views? Any religious views? Any?
I have no idea.
Okay. I think this, out of everything that I've covered, I think this is the most evil thing I have seen yet. Out of everything that we have found, this is worse than any global warming nonsense. This is a clear and present danger. and it is happening right now. How can we get out of this?
The way to get out of this is action in the state houses, and that means your viewers, your listeners, have to call up their representatives, their senators in their state houses, and demand that they get out of the Common Core, demand that they institute robust privacy laws.
But they will do what your state did. I mean, our state. We have the GOP now fighting the liberty-loving people, fighting every step of the way. Oh, no, you're right. We got rid of Common Core, but we have C-scope. Now the GOP is involved in protecting that here in Texas. If our state has GOP progressives that are guarding it, I mean, what do other states? You don't have a chance.
I think what we're seeing, though, I think this is a big opportunity for America. This is the opportunity for a citizen-led movement to take back our liberties, to get back to the idea of citizen-directed government. And I think we can win on this issue, on these issues, and rededicate America to that type of government.
What are people saying? Because you're out in the community and you're part of it all. What are people saying when they find out? Because I can't believe that this is not Republican Democrat. This is every American should be involved in this one.
I'll tell you what's happened in Alabama, Indiana. Today in Oklahoma, there was a rally at the State House on these issues, led by a 9/12 person, I might add.
Great.
And this is what's happening. They're going to their elected leaders and they're demanding that they get out. And a lot of these elected leaders are, a lot of them are scaredy cats. And they push back. Parents are coming back. Citizens are coming back in greater numbers, with more fervor, demanding to get out.
Hold on. Hold that thought. Back in a minute. Hello, America. Today I'm asking you to help us spread the message of the Blaze to millions of homes all across the country. You've helped me build a television network based on the shared values of freedom and honesty and truth. But we need to get bigger and we need to do it fast. We want every pay-for-TV provider in America to give you the choice of the Blaze. We're working their tails off. I get behind. Get the support of tax.
Have saved our client. When you know you were meant to do something, you can't let. Unfortunately, skyrocketing gun sales have many buying into a false sense of security because, as folks in gun-free zones have already discovered, relying solely on a gun is a huge mistake.
911, what are you reporting?
Thank you. Says here, as the federal budget battle continues in Washington, at least one group is holding individual members of Congress accountable for their votes. So, who's exactly supporting our economic freedom? I'll ask Tim Phelps, president of Americans for Prosperity. That's Wilcow, 7 p.m. Eastern, The Blaze. Be there.
We were just talking about our kids won't see the inside of a public school. Pull your kids, but that doesn't help, really, because, I mean, it helps our kids right now, but it doesn't help the long run because you lose the nation. Help me with two things. We have about 2 minutes. What should people expect when they start this fight? What is going to be thrown at them? And what do they do first?
They're going to hear that there's misinformation out there, and they'll hear, well, we're doing this for the children. This is for the children, for better education. So, but what they need to do is, in many of the states now, there's activist groups that are pushing legislation and talking to their legislators. That's what they need to do. We need to get back to the idea of citizen-directed government. Yeah, calling up your legislator and say, what are you doing to get us out of this?
What we have to do is, this has happened so stealthily that most of the public has never heard of it, doesn't know what it is. These activist groups have to educate the public, and the public has to contact their local state legislators and say, we want this gone.
They will say, you watch, because it's happened in Texas, we're going to get rid of one, but they'll slip another one in under a different name. And so you have to be vigilant, and really the power has to be returned to the people.
And protect your medical records. by all costs, by all means, protect your medical records, get straight answers from your schools, your school districts, your state legislatures, because where it sits right now, I'm confused, and I'm a professional in the field and an activist, and I have no idea.
It is, I can't emphasize enough, and I said this on the radio today, this one's for the whole ball of wax. There's a lot of things that we're fighting, but this one, I mean, GE said it best. For lasting change, this has to be done. That's what this is about. You lose control of your information, your life. You lose control of your children and what's best for them, and they lose control of their liberty and their free agency, their ability to choose. People are going to say it's a conspiracy theory and to disregard it. I beg you, do not take my word for it. Don't take anybody else's word for it. Read the documents themselves from the federal government. They are far more horrifying than we have talked about on the program. Believe me. Thanks. We'll meet again and talk some more about it. Follow it all at The Blaze. Back in a minute.